Blessings, welcome forward to Reasonings right here at the Trail Life. I'm your host, the Great Owl, in the presence of brother Ramon Singh, and we're in the wonderful Mandeville, as in Manchester. You know that we're basically in the hometown of brother Singh, and we're just taking in the wonderful atmosphere, the beautiful music, the bamboo tree plays in the breeze, you know, just taking me back to my childhood days, you know. So it's just awesome, joyfulness. Blessings, Ramon. So what is today's offering going to be about? How we're going to be sharing and what we're going to be sharing with our subscribers today.
Yeah, man. There are things as Christians, we need to know how to properly dress. Especially in these times, you know.
See it there. Perfect love.
Perfect love.
Perfect love.
Blessings.
So how to be properly attired? That's a vast subject. Because you know people love to be, I would say, well dressed, and I'm using that in quotation, because so much people have different ideas of what being well dressed is. And if we're going to be well dressed as a Christian or as followers of Christ, in each specific culture that we are, it couldn't just be a specific modus operandi of dress. It would have to be a mentality, a mental condition, or a mental way of looking at the experience of how we are attired. I believe in the West it's called deportment, which has to do with one's beliefs and attitude, as how, you know, one delivers oneself through the experience. So a little bit of deportment, right, in there, and a little bit of mental conditioning for real, and the experience of what is well dressed to a follower of Christ in Jamaica. Well, if you're like usually what we call like the Pentecostals are the more natural, down-to-earth people, the women wear very natural hairstyles, plaits, cane rolls, we call it cornrow in America, right? And sometimes just catching up their hair in a bun, long skirts, long dresses. You know, the men love them three-piece suits, right? Vest, and you know, we call somewhat of a formal from the occupationist idea, you know, the European module of what well-dressed is. And so in a sense, that would be what you would call well-dressed, because number one, for the long skirts, so using that as the example for the women, and the natural hairstyle, it suggested a more respect of one, that God made you naturally the way you are, and the sense of beauty could not be just a matter of adding something to yourself to be beautiful, but appreciating what is God given. So that would be one. And then the tall skirts now, because number one, if it is the sense of respecting the temple, which is the living body, and showing that respect in terms of how you attire it, you wouldn't want, as a decent woman, every man to feel that they would have access with just their eyes to that temple. So the modesty would then manifest as long dresses, tall skirts as they would say, and just a kind of a more respectable in terms of how that community, the like community, would look at them attired. That the respect would come from not as a woman exposing herself too much, right? Because why that's important? Because there's an entire different culture outside of the modesty of Christianity that to reveal more in a creative way is actually more appealing, and the more flesh or skin you can show is more appealing. So in most, if not all, religious traditions, you would have that idea of modesty, and I'm just reflecting it as how I have experienced it in Jamaica. Though there are contemporary churches where women could wear, like have worn and is wearing pantsuits, right? Which is not a matter of a gender bias or challenging male ego or whatever, but that wasn't really seen as a feminine attire. And so the old church's version of modesty also had to do with deportment equal to the sexes as well, right? So then what's right for the man? A man just usually have certain different colors and certain style of pants, maybe the tightness, and so, you know, wouldn't really be advisable to wear, because I guess it would also bring up a certain kind of a lustful thing that a woman, and if your clothing fit too tight, and especially you brothers who love to go to the gym, right? So if it's too much like that, it will be too enticing and it would never necessarily be called modest if you're in that situation of being a, a person going to the church community and the church family and you're courting amongst that group and, you're single and you look that way, you know what I mean? It's all good to be attractive, but then maybe if the wrong idea is being sent too strongly, it's kind of putting the young lady's mind in a certain direction. So, the man choices maybe a lot less, but a man still have him choices of how he more style up the pants, the footwear, and then the spirit is just telling me sometimes the messages too, especially for the man, because so man is very suggestive in some regard and directive. So the man have some words on them shirts, It have some look casual, it have some look, it has said some things, right, brother? It has said some things. So ladies, you know it has said, right? You know what it's saying. And so, in that sense now, a man who follow Christ in a certain way, I guess you should watch how revealing and your outfits are, how much it lead into a sexualizing of your image versus your character and the nature of your being. And as it relates to the women, we already discussed that, I'm not saying tall skirts is the only sign of modesty. I mean, I'm just saying that we kind of understand how much skin is being shown in contemporary culture. And it's always been in religious and spiritual cultures that there's a modesty. Because the invitation towards viewing the woman in just a sexual manner obviously is going to take away from the wealth and the worth within her character. I know I've said a mouthful. Brother Singh, your take on really how do we attire ourselves properly as followers of Christ?
Yes, sir. I always look upon Selassie. Emperor Haile Selassie. And see how him just always just epic.
I was waiting for which way to say it. I was like, which way is he gonna say it? But epic, that's like hallelujah. That's true.
Yeah,
he win best dressed monarch at one of those high events where the monarchs go.
True. Yep. Him there in the Guinness Book of World Record as best dressed king in the whole world.
Barchamini. See, I didn't know that, but I knew about the other awards, the other one. But yeah, well attired.
Yeah, man.
So we can say that is a standard for the man, and we can use Empress Menen Dosari Waziro as a standard for the women.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Because as followers of Christ, remember say we are a royal priesthood. That means say we are royalty by the grace of God. You see me? So if we act like royalty, if we move like royalty, if we know say we are royalty, we are a royal priesthood. Priesthood, you see me? So we are priests as well,
Yes.
We represent the Most High,
Yes.
So if we look, we have to always dress like royalty. You see me?
Absolutely. I'm feeling you there, brother.
Don't dress like the world. You see me? Although we have enough worldly clothes, we are still trying to get rid of. You see me? Because, and I like say you have a personal tailor like that and, they might make proper clothes for it. So we have to just work with it.
Yes.
But we have to make it look royal same way. And still don't look like the world.
I love what you said that.
You see me? Because it's a lustful environment. We're born in our lustful place. Full of lust. Sex upon people's mind 24/7. You see me? I just saw it set. And what we have to do now to protect the females is the females, them have to just cover up themselves. You see me? Because I just sex upon the people in mind. You see me? Them there in the business place. The man them can't even think about business because what? The female them just so sexy.
But no, with the metrosexual idea in terms of fashion, right?
Yeah, man.
We're going to get into a lot of the dichotomies a little bit, but I would say a lot of males and females are actually going to work hypersexually dressed.
Yes, I.
In the sense that in this current culture, males are trying to impress males and females
Oh, you mean,
for
man?
favors, and females are dressing
Alright.
impress males and females within the environment and the culture.
So even our young youths in school,
Mhm.
them go tailor for taking them pants,
Mhm.
taking them shirt, them are taking them side like our female taking them thing.
Mhm.
You see me? I show off them curves, you see me?
Well, the man is not really supposed to know if you have no curves still, you know, but but
And pants were tight,
yeah, but we,
hard to put on, you see me?
yeah.
And that no right.
So-
Man fi dress like man.
Mhm.
You see me? Dress like warrior.
Mhm.
Dress like a king.
So we'll come right back then to the idea now of deportment then, because as you're speaking, I'm breaking down the psychological mind, because the truth is, all right, first thing, if people go to the stores, which is kind of generic and general, to buy clothing, nothing is wrong with going to the tailor to make them fitted, because the essence of the royals is that they do have their personal tailor, and something do fit better on you when it's tailored to your size.
True, true.
However, I think you're talking about the extreme situation
Yeah, man.
where there's these young men in our culture and other cultures, but mainly in our cultures because we're referring to what we know, are making their clothing so tight, as we're saying, the metrosexual idea, and those who can add more to it can tell me also, to a different kind of appeal in attractiveness. And this attractiveness, I'm not saying it is purely a sexual based attractiveness. I'm saying it is favor based. It is something based upon receiving favor from both sexes for the attire that one is draped in, is
True.
garbed in, right? I think this current movement is a competitive yet self-acclimating movement where individuals are feeling emboldened, because I notice it's a dynamic in fashion, you know. People see it as a creative way to express yourself. So some are emboldened, and we're going to talk about the others who might be off on a different wavelength in a bit, but that's not the issue. The issue is, why are the youth dressing like this? Something is there in their mentality that they're observing in the environment that is suggesting to them traditional views of deportment aren't fitting in to current standards. So the metrosexual idea that I've been seeing coming around is making the clothes more unisex, as we would say. So like I say, I don't know no curves in upon no man, but I would know that the clothing is tending towards looking more feminine, or unisex as they call it. So it would be an ideology that would make young males and females want to dress this way. So then we'll come back to the essence of faith. Are these individuals being led by the traditional views of deportment behavior and how behavior translates into how one is dressed? Each situation is different, each mood is different. That's why we've got PJs, right? Where we got pajamas, right? And we got the nightgowns for the ladies. We got that understanding of that different from lingerie, because a nightgown isn't a lingerie, right? So there's lingerie and there's nightgown. So lingerie is supposed to be the sexual department. Nightgown is supposed to be the sleepwear, right? And the PJ is supposed to be what the man wore, right? And the essence of it is that the adjustments in that culture, women are wearing PJs, the nightgowns are out of the way, and lingerie is becoming nightwear. You get what I'm saying? So out in the external world now, the sportswear, the stuff that people would go to the gym in, has now become casual and functional.
True.
We're not finished yet, brother man. Casuals and the usual functional stuff that we knew have now become the deeply formal.
True.
So, so where do you think the traditional formal is? That's become costume, brother.
True.
That's a Halloween, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So I'm like looking at it now from my understanding, you know, my mind is already, but I'm thinking something is happening in the emotional state of individuals, and so it's manifesting as how they're dressing. So I already went through how we see the modesty, and I would suggest to individuals now, where you're from, in your community, if you let the collective lead you, you're not getting some problems with how your dressing don't express you. It will open you up to the belief systems of others who look at such dressing and think certain things. again, sex sells. So they are programming people's minds of how to view these young ladies, how to view these young men by how they are attired, sexualizing their dressing. And so, I think that's catching a lot of people. And I would say in each of your societies, look and be very careful to watch the trends. Don't follow them. Hallelujah. Please don't. Because they start in ideology. I'm just alluding to what is actual. You might not agree. You might think, I'm just going to buy some clothes. No, it's not that. Why do the clothes have the names of individuals on them? Why does your underwear have somebody's name on it? Do you understand? It's ideologies that are being perpetuated as fashionable lifestyles. It's belief systems in clothing and attire, right? There are underwears that 100 years ago could never be caught dead in a regular department stores. They were designed specifically for the sex workers. They are now on the regular shelves. Maybe you have the more risque ones being, a little bit in the back with the holes at the special spots, but these were for sex workers. Now they're being sold to anyone above a certain age who can fake it to appear old enough to purchase them, can go and purchase, hallelujah, these revealing lingerie, and then attire in these lingerie and sweatpants, gym wear, exercise wear out in public. It's
expose themselves so much.
Hallelujah.
They not left no thought to nobody what them really look like. Them just expose it to the world. Only them husband or them husband to be for see them curves there. You see me?
Absolutely.
And reserve that for them husband. Make the husband enjoy that. Not the whole world for see that and enjoy it. And a distract man who committed already. It a distract them. You see me? Them a walk past in them tight gym wear. And what? It distract people now and say, how she looks so sexy, what going,
And
interested.
True. And I don't think, for myself, we're not speaking from like just an observer's point of view merely with no effect on us. We have been moved, distracted, shocked, appalled at some of the bad ones, right? But let's just say we can say she's tastefully attired in her gym wear to a degree. It does like you stop. You in a moment of thought, something you collect yourself, and sometimes your wife maybe there or your significant, and they're pretty angry in a moment of something that isn't a behavioral dysfunction per se in the individual who's observing it per se, or even in the individual who's dressed that way. It's more societal. It's something that has shifted in the society to expose something that previously was kept secret and sacred within a certain context is now being brought out into the open. And it's not just that young lady or that young man who is dressing that way that is appalling us or grabbing your attention. It is so much that it's influencing the next generation. Because this is the point I want to make, and I probably need to calm a little because it's not pleasing in any sense to even speak about this. But I see that sometimes the children are little micro in terms of how they dress of their parents. It drives me out of my mind to see that. Because I remember, Ramon, when I was going to church and school in my ages of say 8 to like even 16, 17, there's no way a young girl, a young lady of a certain age was going to go out on the road unless she had on a dress plus proper underwear, tights and stuff under that dress. It couldn't be that your 8-year-old is going out with just tights. Hallelujah. That's crazy. That never used to happen. Kids were always so covered up.
Yeah, man.
And now they're just little micro. He's like, there's mommy, and there's the child. It's just a little version to the big version. I was saying that could never be acceptable under any circumstance. Hallelujah. To dress your children that way. It's already wrong when the parents are dressed that way. But when you then think it's okay to dress your children that way, And then they talk about how weird it is sometimes now within society you can't leave your kids anywhere. The predatory instincts in these unstable men and women are increased. And that is why the environment is getting so serious with the pedophiles on our young boys and our young girls. This is something we cannot say enough. It's a literal thing we cannot say enough, you know. And we're not trying to vilify parents, because I'm not in the mood for the backlash of parents to say, oh, you're trying to tell us. No, 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 no. I went through a whole compendium of what I understand being well attired to be, and how the modesty of society is more internal than it is external, right? So I'm not vilifying parents, right? Dressing that way doesn't say anything specifically of an individual, except that they're within the society and they're acting according to how the society is moving. But I'm not saying that that is wholly acceptable. I'm saying that you cannot adjust that behavior. Your society might be dressed in that way, but we already said that we knew from before. Our grandparents didn't dress that way.
Yeah, man.
Nobody was going to dress that way in the context of the public. It wasn't going to happen, so we weren't grown that way.
Yeah.
So we take in the liberation movement and the fashionable movement, and we want to be in the trends and what's happening. And so because we're doing that, and the trends are just like the emperor's new clothes, just stripping us down to nudity. That's all I see the trends are doing. Because what new can you do under the sun? So what it means to me is not just the dress. So when I'm saying this, I'm saying stop looking at just that, oh, everybody's dressed that way. Looking at what's happening in the mentality, that people are literally becoming naked in the public sphere. Women are teasing nudity or nakedness by attire. Beach wear is scary wear now. It's already lingerie, as I said. If I didn't say it, I'm saying it. Beach wear isn't swimwear anymore, it's lingerie, right? Women can attack me in the comment, right? But
remember when we go beach with my mother, she will have her bikini, you know, but she have on her shorts, a baggy shorts, and a baggy shirt over it. She not go out indecent, because she's a Christian woman.
Exactly.
She not do that. You know?
Even swimwear in the 30s is far different from they are now. So I'm not even talking about swimwear, because there is swimwear, but I'm saying that lingerie has become swimwear.
True.
So there's still swimwear there, but just like we talk about modesty, and based upon your spiritual or your religious belief, maybe that's how you're going to be more considerate of how you're attired and see that it does say something of your mentality. So something is wrong with people thinking it's okay, especially when we're not grown that way, to be so exposed in public, and then we're making fashionable trends, right? Lead us to become more nude and more naked in a space that we were never encultured to be that way, right? This is the threat, and this is the fear that I'm seeing manifesting now, that people want to be accepted so much, they are willing to wear the latest designer nakedness, promoting a trend of nakedness, to be accepted by people who are lustful, right? Not just because they want to be, but the environment is engendering lust, and it is wholly like the 7 deadly sins. They're all consumed into the lust of it, and it's been sold as palatability. So going back to the argument of true modesty that I started with, each culture does have a different definition of what true modesty is based upon what is acceptable within the environment. But even if these cultures will look a little bit before the present age, there will still be a culture where modesty was about not revealing so much of one's body to unknowns, and to strangers, right? That would be reserved to, like growing up with my sisters around the house, they wouldn't necessarily be covered up like from head to toe, right? But at the same time, that is still different than when they went into the space of marriage. So that not being covered up is still not naked or nude. You understand me? Or anything near there, right? So there was still a level that is acceptable to a family, that you have to go a deeper level to show you're an intimate person, because that, if you're just in that space, it's acceptable. But you have to go more to expose to that intimate space, right? And that's how we were grown. No, what I'm saying is that no, the space, right, has gotten so down to a standard that it's just teasing nakedness. Everything. That means that the standard is just like what used to be like in just the personal space has become the public space, right? So when we now would go out, like our sisters and us and our cousins would then go over to our friend's house, right? We wouldn't just necessarily run out with what we had on in the yard, right? Even though we weren't exposed, Remember I said there was levels to this, right? We still wouldn't just run over to that person's yard in what we had on. So our parents, and just because it's ingrained in us, we'll grab on a taller pants, right? Or something a little sturdier, right? So your sister knew she had on a little shorts, right? Or a certain short. She had to draw on a pants right now, or put on a full dress, something that cover up a lot better now, because she's going to be in the eyes of more people, right? Those might be cousins, those might be friends, that might be a little bit more than the family, but that required another level of dressing, right? A protective dressing, right? So that was deportment. That was just natural in how we grew up, right? Dance a yard before you dance abroad is something we learned, right? So now, say now, if you go down to the river now, right? And then that is the place where you feel that modesty is blown out the window, right? We knew you would go with certain individuals. You wouldn't go with everybody if it was that, if nudity was going to be the experience. So what we're saying is this: the standard of teasing nakedness could never be the standard for everyone. So there was never a time in every society you would go skinny dipping with your two favorite friends that you trust. So that mentality of being free like that could never be for everyone. That's why I went this way with the argument. It's not that we're ashamed of our bodies, because I know we're not just talking to a few folks. We're talking to a lot of people, I know that. We're not ashamed of our bodies. So we're not trying to judge people's body view or dynamic. We're just saying that standards of deportment and decorum has been slipping in every culture. And though I can't tell you how you be well dressed in your culture, I know that how you were well dressed in your culture 50 years ago ain't the same today. I say casuals have become formal. You can challenge me on that, but I think the point will be more in my favor. That being said, we have grown to understand that clothing expresses a portion of the human psychology and the human's sense of self. It doesn't express everything. But being that it does express so much in a silent sense, what people see does influence their perception until they get to know you, let's say. We are just suggesting, be more modest in your dressing. So, brethren, if it means, say, stop wearing them little tight up shirt, they wear them little suggestive, meaning they around, your friends, girlfriends, right? It would help. You know what I mean? Yeah, and...
But I just want to touch upon the topic of makeup and jewelry. You see me? Because remember I said, the fallen ones teach the women about makeup, You
Yes,
see me?
yes.
Making paintings on the face to make oneself more beautiful. How the people them have it now, the females today, a paint on a different face. Me shock sometimes. Because sometimes
he had to
the
go
transformation.
there. Notice, ladies, I didn't go there. He had to go there.
No, man. It's a thing for just say, all right, you look like this, and you just beautify that.
Yes.
And it's a next thing to change your face completely.
I agree.
That if you wash it off, it's a complete different something. I don't think that will happen,
I'm agreeing with you, but it's
paint
extreme.
on different face like that, And certain jewelry it just are the same, more sexual and lustful, and it look more beautiful.
Well, I wouldn't say look more beautiful, I would say look more attractive.
True.
Because attractiveness is what they're selling, which is some kind of aesthetic on the sexual, an appeal.
Yes, sir.
Versus beauty is internal, it is divine, it is by nature. Everything is beautiful. But to appreciate the natural beauty is different from the artificial, which is what we are talking about, what he's talking about. And it's scary. Let me not mince words. I mean, I don't want to say scary. Let me take back the scariness of it. It's a bit offsetting.
Yeah, man.
If a woman should approach you appearing as someone totally different, and then in the morning, if you should be in the 24-hour window of, observing our reality, a new face would appear in the morning.
Yeah, man.
That would be akin to waking up with a vampire or a ghost, or You know, it's scary, and I'm not saying it to be offensive, because listen, I didn't mention it, you know. I'm just saying that from me mentioning it, I have to say it. I have to say something about it. I mean, come on. Ladies, I know attractiveness, again, somebody setting the standard, and the standard has taken bedroom ethics out into the open and made it tricks and fun for everyone. Be that as it may, it's lustful world. However, you got to admit, if someone is telling you, alter your face, that has to do with some deep inadequacy issue with your true self, right? You need some psychological help. If you're going to say to be beautiful, using the term you use, you're going to be somebody else. It will deny God's power within you. It will deny God's right of his creation, which is you. It will almost suggest that he made ugly beings, or unworthy things, which is, if we're talking about the actual creator, that is untrue. Hallelujah. There are no unworthy things that he made. We have made ourselves unworthy, but there's no ugly women walking around out there. We have made ourselves ugly with sin, right? So the people who are thinking they're ugly, males and females, we have made ourselves ugly. We have, through sin, made ourselves ugly. So, young lady, if you're one of those people who are literally putting on another face on for the attractiveness of the attention of the opposite sex, for whether for pleasure, for acceptance, for wealth, for prosperity, trip out of it. Wake up out of it. Come on. You can't tell me you feel okay peeling someone else's appearance off your face. You cannot tell me, ladies, you feel fine peeling somebody else's face, somebody else's appearance off your face. You can't tell me that's, get it? Peeling? You can't tell me that's appealing. Well, for me it's not, I'm sorry.
If them have to take 1 hour to put on them face before them can go outside,
That's not
something
nice.
is wrong.
Yeah. And the man them too, because we now make it be about the ladies, about what's up with you and those fake hair. You know that, brother? Did you know that? Brothers, you think you're going to get away? He started it to that level. So because I'm not going to leave my ladies hanging like that. Brothers, Gorilla Glue brothers, Gorilla Glue brothers, what are you talking about, brothers? You older men with all those fake hair, and even some of those men who lost their hair too, be having these fake beards and fake, do you call those wigs? Because they want to call it, is it toupee? Because I hear a man don't like their hair pieces to be called wigs, right? But brothers, a lot of you are 35 years old. What are you doing gorilla gluing this fake ass crap on your head? Fake beard, fake mustache, fake waves in the hair. Are you for real? Oh, you think it's all about the ladies? Gorilla glue brothers? Are you goober, gorilla glue? Brothers, come on. Come on, man, come on. You're tripping. Metro? Is Metro, what is that? Did you 3D print your face, brother? Is that what happened? Did they tell you, you know, it's a hair that's hidden and you can't grow it out your own skin? you gotta put it on. You gotta paste it on. You gotta glue it on, gorilla style. Why is it called gorilla glue? Who's using it? Man, you gotta stop these things, man. And condolences to anyone who ever got themselves fixed in that gorilla glue incident, you know, because it ain't pretty young ladies and young man. Why is it called gorilla glue? And why are we using it? Yo, before we get all caught up in the fashionistas and the fashion houses fashioning our life after their fantasies and their whims, because you should see the literal appearance of these people who are the fashionistas who set the trends. I wouldn't want to be caught dead, sitting, walking, standing, riding beside them. You get what I mean? They ain't fashionable. They're crazy. That's what I've been noticing, right? So I'm saying, check yourselves before you wreck yourselves, you know? Create your own trends, but modesty, decency, decorum, those are mental and psychological and spiritual processes that will never change no matter what the fashion trends are. So if you have those modicum of decency, you see, and ethics and the right side of deportment, guess what? You're going to dress appropriately. So until next time, like, share, subscribe. Share Live Television Network, Seala Media, right here on YouTube. So keep on your most well-dressed, fashionable experiences in faith. Listen.
Perfect love.
Perfect love, brother.
Alright.
And you can see the man sharp, you see it? The man sharp in the faith, you see it?